right, it's about that time. Our salute for our working woman on a Wednesday. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, she is, I got to make sure I get it right, she is Miss District of Columbia, as you can tell from her sash. We are so excited. Cordelia Cranshaw is in the building.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yes, you are our first working woman salute of 2019. And you've been everywhere now, like on television and everything.
Yes, I have. It's been exciting. I've been booked and busy.
Booked and busy.
Yes.
Come on now. That's
the best way to be.
Right,
yes.
for 2019. Booked and busy. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Miss DC Pageant. What made you want to sign up for you? Have you always been into pageants? And, like, how did you get involved in the first place or want to do
I
this
actually
one?
started pageants when I was 16 years old, but I've been running for Miss District of Columbia USA for the last 4 years. Okay. And I really wanted to use this platform to share my story and to inspire others to never give up and to persevere in life. So I'm so excited to finally have won the crown, and I'm just using that platform to share.
Yes, now we got the crown. Can we pull out the crown? See, we got you on camera right now. Can we take a look at the crown? Now that right there.
Hey. Yes.
That is it heavy?
No, it's not heavy at all.
It's pretty light.
It's right here on my head.
Like,
Wow.
what little girl doesn't want that?
And but can you does it stay firm and put?
So
or?
you have to
pin it.
Exactly. You have to pin it to your head, and you had to measure it, make sure it fits your head.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I was like, yeah.
Maybe someone's head is bigger than.
Is it adjustable? Is the crown?
Yes, it's adjustable.
Okay.
Yeah, got like little clips on it.
Okay, all right.
We'll have to crown you.
Yes.
So
I don't know if that's gonna fit on my locks though. To be quite honest,
It will. It gets bigger. We got room for
You can always crown me the queen.
Shit, that.
But listen, how was that 4 years, going through that process? What did you learn, and what was different from year to year? What was especially different this year?
So growing up, I really didn't have self-confidence. And what I learned throughout this journey was self-confidence come from within. I really struggled growing up because I wasn't really girly. So pageants really brought out the girly side of me. So I love dressing up. I love getting my makeup all done, dolled up, and really going out there and just presenting myself. So over the last 4 years, I realized that I wasn't bringing out that confidence. I wasn't radiating confidently beautiful. So the judges really didn't see that. They saw that I was attractive on the outside, but what was I bringing to the table? And so this last year, I just focused on myself. I didn't focus on winning. I didn't focus on anything else, but really processing where I've come from after growing up in the foster care system and being who I am today, and knowing that I love myself regardless of my flaws, and I am who I am, unapologetically myself.
how do you get to that place? Like, what are some of the things, you said you focused on yourself, but what are some of the things you did to really start to say, okay, to own that confidence, essentially?
I think you really just have to look at who you are as an individual and who you want to be, and understand that you're not a perfect person. So loving your flaws and loving who you are, and just continuously working on the things that you want to work on that you feel like you have downfalls in. And that's what I did. I didn't worry about the girl standing next to me to my left or to my right. I worried about who I was as an individual, and I knew that when I was on that stage, I gave it all that I had. And if I wasn't chosen, it wasn't because I wasn't myself. It was just because it wasn't my time.
So after you get this crown for Miss DC USA, what is the next step? What's
So
the next
I'm
level?
now preparing for Miss USA 2019. They haven't announced the date and location yet, but it's typically around May or June. So I'll prepare for that. But then also I'll focus on my platform, which is foster care awareness. And through aging out of the foster care system, I made education my top priority, which is my path to success. And so I will be touring around all District of Columbia schools, public and charter, from elementary all the way through college.
Oh, that is awesome. And you have your own organization, right?
I do. So I ended up going to school for social work, and I wanted to bridge the gap in my own life to determine how I could leave a legacy and how I could teach those going through the same life challenges that I faced growing up, how they can use the tools for success. So I created the nonprofit Acts of Random Kindness. It's a DC-based organization, and we develop programs and provide resources to children and families. Our first program, called the ICANN program, focuses on young males of color. We connect them with male mentors and have interactive workshops where they learn life skills, they learn how to be leaders, and all sorts of cool things that we get to do with them.
Nice. Money, you might need to be a mentor.
Come through. Our boys will love you. They are so amazing. They have these open minds, but sometimes they get caught up in the world that they live in. For example, the week that I won, the little boy that got shot in the back 10 times in Southeast was one of their friends. So instead of going in there talking about me winning, which they were excited about, I had to go in and process that with them. Talk about how they can protect themselves, how they can be safe in their community because they're facing issues like that.
Right. Wow. Absolutely. So speaking of Miss USA, so I believe the last two Miss District of Columbias have won Miss USA.
Yes.
So it's a lot of pressure on you.
We have had two Miss USAs back to back, Deshauna Barber and Kyra McCullough. But I use that to my advantage, right? I was with them this weekend and they are prepping me. They're giving me all of their tools that they used during Miss USA. So I'm really excited to have them in my corner.
All right. Yo, good luck to you on that.
Thank
Again, Cordelia
you.
Cranshaw. She's our Miss District of Columbia, USA. She's got her own nonprofit. Now, I want to go back to kind of your upbringing, your childhood, because you said you kind of came up a little bit in the foster care system. What was that like for you, and how were you able to kind of deal with it? Because I feel like when we hear foster care system and social workers have a very tough job.
Yes,
Mom Fruity just retired from being a social worker in DC forever. And, you know, some of the things that you see as a social worker can be very heart-wrenching, can be very difficult. But as someone who went through the foster care system, tell us a little bit about your experience and how that has helped you with being a social worker.
Yes. So I actually entered the foster care system when I was about 5 or 6. My mom was in and out of incarceration. And then at 12, she was sentenced to 10 years. I couldn't go with my father because he was a struggling alcoholic. And so I was afraid. I bounced around from home to home. I was homeless. And my older sister had experienced the foster care system. And all she would tell me was, they don't want teens. They're going to abuse you. They don't want you. And so I was fearful when I actually entered the foster care system. But instead of using that as a negative, I turned it into a positive and I use it as motivation. So I soaked up those resources that they provide. I advocated for myself. I used my voice. I made sure my social worker worked on my behalf and not doing things that she wanted to do or what she saw was best for me. And so I think it's really important for youth that are in the foster care system to use their voice, to make sure they're attending meetings, make sure they're involved in everything that their case has to offer. And yes, being a social worker is difficult. You see a lot of different things, but what I bring to the table that's unique is I have this lived experience that these youth have gone through. And so that's what inspired me to be a social worker, because we need social workers out there that can relate to these youth that they're working with.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can only imagine. And then, I mean, but you said you were like 11 when you got in?
I was 12 when my mom was sentenced to 10 years. And then I bounced around from home to home because, of course, family tries to step up and take you in. But then they didn't really have the capability to do so. And about 14, I entered the foster care system and I aged out at 21.
Got it. Okay. So at that point, you kind of were of an age where you could kind of speak. Because I was going to say, like, I feel like sometimes especially when kids are younger, it may be a little bit harder to either get to meetings or feel like you can reach out. So, and
it is hard, but when you grow up in the foster care system, you just face so much trauma because you end up in foster homes that don't really care. They don't really take the time to invest in you. And right now in DC, we're actually going through a placement crisis. With the way DC is developing, we are lacking quality foster parents. And so if you're listening right now and you have the heart and passion to have patience and to work with youth who are going through difficult challenges, please reach out to DC Child and Family Services Agency because we really need you.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Well, Cordelia, congratulations on all your success. I love what you're using this platform for. I love how you're getting into schools. And, you know, if you ever need some sidekicks, I'm sure me, Shay,
sign us up. Seriously.
Yes, we would love to support you. And,
I'll hold your crown or something. Like,
I'll
hold the box like behind you or something.
And let everybody know how they can follow you and help you out with your journey as well as you continue on.
Yes, please visit our website at ark-dc.org. You can also follow us on Instagram at Twitter, ARK_DC. And also follow my reign as I prepare for Miss USA at Miss DC USA.
Follow the rain. I like that.
And again, I think so many people can relate to your story. Again, I've read a little bit about it, and you know, being able to discuss things like suicide prevention and all of that. So before we go, you know, just anything as someone who has kind of gone through so much from lack of confidence, you've overcome that lack of confidence, that feeling of hopelessness, and now you're Miss District of Columbia. You're out here giving back. You're going to be on a huge, even bigger platform soon. Any last things you could say to anybody that right now may be be in a really dark space or a space that they feel like they can't get out of but want to?
Use your negative situation as motivation. Pull out any positives. I like to pull out the positive in any negative situation that I faced. And so, for example, with foster care, instead of saying that I was going to not be anything, I used those resources as a positive and to my advantage. So when you're in a negative situation, really find those positives so that you can keep that motivation and that hope alive.
There it is, Cordelia Cranshaw, ladies and gentlemen, our working woman.
Yes.
Thank you.
The first one of the year.
That's right.
Setting the
Thank you
bar.
so much.
Thank you.